expect that measures to sustain the gains, because projections are that it will experience, and it's already started experiencing some depreciation. Are we going to keep the momentum upwards or downwards? I think that these are the things the minister will have to outline. It's more or less also monetary policy, but on his part, as a fiscal policy person responsible for the fiscal policy, he would tell us what they are doing about that.
We know that the Auditor General has provided us with some reports. I want to tackle that issue about our debt disparities, how much was left from the previous government, over 138 billion cedis and thereof. How do you address those disparities, and especially when it comes with at least a notion that your government from the past could not do much to service the economy? So
whilst your accountants get the accounting wrong, and it creates a bad picture of your government.
Who has gotten it wrong?
I mean, the Accountant General. Is basically, the report says that the debt figures were overestimated, right? To the tune of over 183 billion, 138 billion. I think that error has actually caused us in terms of investment. It has caused us in terms of the confidence in the Ghanaian economy. It has caused us in terms of government management of the fiscal. Even that has also gone into even our view as to whether or not, to what scale can we do the DDEP. But that said, it is better to have a false sense of the picture than to have a more or less an exaggerate, more or less the true state of the picture, which is more or less on a higher note. So it is going to come of, it provides fiscal space for the government, the current government, to spend. And I think that when we begin to get the benefit, the dividend, some credit should be shared with the previous government.
Your side has accused the finance minister of not releasing funds to ministers, ministries, and government agencies to embark on their activities thereof. Do you expect him to address what you have long held, that he's not doing well in helping even MDAs, for instance?
Well, consumption. Even previous appointees have not had the payment of their ex gratia after almost half a year. That is a major concern. Statutory funds have not been released. I'm sure that he's going to announce on release, because we are getting signal that some of them will be released today, tomorrow. If he does that, they're good. But GET fund, health insurance fund, even some funds related to District Assembly Common Fund, MP's project, none of that has been released. And we are in the second, we are getting to the third quarter of the year. So I'm sure the government should be able to announce some policies, should be able to give us respite, should announce how many of these statutory funds have been released, what are the outstanding areas, and when they will be released.
And from when the budget was announced to now, we are coming to have a mid-year budget review. How would you rate the performance of this government on the economy?
Well, truly, the government has not given us any reason to rate it. Nothing has been done. Like they all say, 6 months is not enough for us to even assess what they're able to do. I've said that if a foundation is set and you are gaining some successes on the back of that, who do we give the credit to? Is it the current government or them? Until said that they are able to, I will call it the transmission mechanism, we're able to be sure that these are their measures resulting in these policies. They are putting in some measures. Fiscal consolidation, they are doing quite well. It comes at a cost to the government.
Are they good enough? Can you commend them for some of those policies?
Of course, I say that when government is able to hold expenditure in the context of IMF program, it's good. It's a conditionality you're obliging. It takes discipline to go by that, especially so a government that said they were not going to, they didn't believe in the IMF program. Now they are going to with the tenets of the IMF program. So it's good. And there's no problem whatsoever commending them for having this particular fiscal consolidation. Of course, it comes at a cost to the Ghanaian people, but it also to the advantage of the economy.
We get hints that you might probably boycott the proceedings today.
That is leadership to determine. I'm not part of leadership, and when they do decide, for whatever reason, we'll oblige.
And you had there some members of parliament reacting ahead of that mid-year budget review presentation by the finance minister, Dr. Kasiala Tofosin. They were interacting with my colleague, Christian Yale. We're joined on the line now by Mawina Egbeta. He's one of my colleagues currently in parliament. Mawina, just tell us what's happening now.
Well, Beatrice, at this point in time, we're still waiting for the finance minister to make his way. We spotted him, but proceedings yet to officially start on the floor of the House, and so that continues to stall everything that is expected to happen. It was advertised that proceedings was to start at midday on the spot, but it's 10 minutes past midday, and we're yet to get any word or indication whatsoever of the start of or the commencement of Parliament. But a number of MPs have been here. My colleague Christian Yale has been picking thoughts from them, and they've been given varied views, which we've been hearing from them just a short while ago. They continue to build up in anticipation. As expected, views will be divided between the majority and the minority on what they've made of the fiscal year thus far and their expectation for the rest of the year. But that is what it continues to be, MPs trickling in and out as we continue to build up in anticipation towards the Finance Minister's presentation.
I know, indeed, and you and Christian Yale have been very busy interacting with the members of Parliament and even people who are just there to partake in today's event. But we heard earlier, which was just at the tip end of that, a sound ending where the question was asked about the possibility of the minority side boycotting this event and rather preferring to petition the president. Has that happened yet, or do you have an understanding when that could, if it hasn't?
We're yet to catch wind of when that is expected to happen, but they continue to give that indication that they are expecting that to happen any moment from now. The Honourable Bafwe J, who is a Manchester South MP, he's been speaking to us in an off-the-cuff conversation saying that, look, this is pure coincidence where they had planned to petition the president officially today, and that's coincided with the budget presentation. They will address the press on this matter before they will head out. We're still looking forward to that address, and so it does suggest that they are yet to leave and make their way to the presidency, where this petition is expected to be delivered to the president.
I know that, briefly, before you go, I know that you talked about spotting the finance minister, but do we have an idea what is keeping him from coming on, or we getting an indication he's about to start?
Nothing concrete as to why we're yet to officially see proceedings start on the floor. And tomorrow, often than not, we'll have proceedings start, and then the conversations can come on the back of it before a few, in terms of votes and proceedings, corrected just briefly before the floor is made, or the floor is paid, rather, for the finance minister. That is all yet to start, and so we don't even have word yet if the speaker is in or around Parliament, and so that continues to stall a lot of the activities and what is expected to happen at this particular point in time, Beatrice.
Indeed, thank you so much, Mawina Egbeta, one of our colleagues in Parliament, all waiting for that presentation of the mid-year budget review by the Finance Minister. Hopefully that should happen soon. But let's get some more expectations from the ordinary Ghanaian like yourself listening to us this afternoon.
The expectations ahead of the presentation by the Finance Minister, and I see a few of them here. I'd want to start off with this very man in red. I think he's also into spare parts business. A very good morning, boss. At saying, and that's why the minister ever presented budget. Charlie, who is it?
Minister only BBI. Ambulance you are crab. I don't know to me if I budget. Only BBI.
Oh, your police was forget ambulance, but I presented budget. I said, Obia, then I was expecting our budget.
You want me BBI, my $100 or so at $2, so you need dollars to pay.
And we'll hear more from the ordinary people on the street. But let's hear from the man popularly called Sticker Stephen Amwa, who is a member of the minority.
50% to 90% of them, they were doing even better than 2016. I mean, GDP, primary balance, reserve, all of them are now taken off, and they were doing better. Even inflation have been reduced from 54.1 to about 22.23. That was higher than 15.4 that we inherited 2016. But if you have a situation where your inflation went to 54 and you're able to reduce it to about 22.23, exchange rate went to about 54. You have been able to reduce it to about 16%. It means that they inherited a situation that had even taken shape already. So whatever we are enjoying today is as a result of what they inherited. But it doesn't mean that the NDC government is doing bad, because they are still forming their government. And I want them to come and speak that truth to Ghanaians. I think the recycling of who did that and those things, we are tired. We've been doing this for almost 30 years. Do you get the results? The real performance results. Are we interested in lies? I can be here and do a lot of comparative political analysis just to get favor. But I think we have to be tired of this.
Yeah. But they talk about the first they've implemented, which have resulted in the city's appreciation.
Which one? What?
The gold bond and the...
What are you talking about? So the gold bond is the gold bond that has caused this situation. Before they implemented the gold bond, exchange rate went to 54.something%. Before they implement, it had come lower up to about 16 thereabout. So what shows that you, per your own critical thinking, that is a gold bond. As I'm talking to you now, go to the bank, the NIB. Exchange rate will be about 10 cedi something. Go to officially registered Forex Bureau. Exchange rate is about 14 cedis. Go to 17 cedis. So the reduction came. So then listen to me. The reduction came from 54. So it's not your policy. It's like you getting, God forbid, or me getting terminal disease, and after being healed, I'll start. You still see signs of pale eyes and other things. Now everything is coming down, and somebody comes and take over, and that trajectory downward is saying happy. You say I implemented GoPol. That is not true. That is not. Look, what you are talking about, can you 11 billion as compared to what? 8.2. From where that came to 8.2. If you want to take your time to listen. I am a financial economist. I am asking you that today, what have they done that reserve? Have they spent? If a government has come to power, not even one city has been sent to road fund. They haven't finished even forming their own directors and workers and ministers and board. You are saying this. They haven't started working. They have not. Tell me one of them. Tell me one of them. No, tell me. Boss, let me tell you, you are just suffering from unconscious incompetence. Because they've told us that they will start paying end of this month. I'm in Parliament. So you are just saying maybe then they are doing something else. I'll find out. Because what you are saying, Parliament, yesterday I was the Deputy Finance Minister. They are now going to start paying end of the month. So which contractor do you know? So the fact that somebody has released money doesn't mean he's paid them. Don't do this by us questioning, because what you are saying is totally unacceptable. I am on the finance committee. I'm telling you, they've not paid any contractor. You are saying they pay contractors. Finance Minister Deputy just yesterday told me they are going to start paying end of the month. Check how much they put into road fund. They've not put a peso. Now you are saying they pay contractors. Don't just be interested in getting what you want. Be interested in what will change Ghana. Be interested in what will bring regular jobs, stable economy, what will bring economic independence. It's not your interest. This is why Ghana is not going anywhere. Because people who want, I'm not saying you NDC or MPP, but people who have their private interests, they always want to push their interests. And this is where we are. You could be MPP, NDC, CPP. The truth is the truth. Go and find out whether as of now they put a peso in the road fund account. Are you not aware that they are still forming their government? Even ministers, they are still forming, let alone board members. So where have they spent? So where have they spent?
How do you rate? Yes. How do you rate the economy?
No, the economy is doing well. It's a process. The economy is doing well. It's a process, and it's not because somebody has done something within 7 months. All that I'm saying is that at a point, this economy was growing 0.4 when we had a crisis globally. The world was growing negative 3.3. By the time we left 2024, we were growing 5.66%. Inflation went to 54. By the time we left, it had come down to about 23. Exchange rate, primary balance, were even better than 2016. So the economy had been restored and doing right before they took over. They haven't done anything. It doesn't mean they are doing bad. No, they are still forming their government. So nobody can judge good or bad as a result of NDC government. No.
All right. Thank you so
can
much.
Take it or not.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we just had the interview with Honorable Stephen Amoah.
And that was Christian Yale, one of my colleagues in Parliament, wrapping up that conversation with Stephen Amwa, who is the Member of Parliament for Inshaeso and also former Deputy Finance Minister. I was telling you earlier, we're actually bringing you reactions from ordinary Ghanaians ahead of the media budget presentation by the Finance Minister, Dr. Cathedral. I want us to go to the Volta region now, where my colleague Faisal Abdul Idrisu is standing by after picking some reactions. Abdul, what can you tell us?
Yeah, hello. Beatrice, I didn't hear that.
What can you tell us? I know you've been engaging residents where you are as regards their expectations as the Finance Minister goes to Parliament today to present that media budget review. What can you tell us from what they are telling you? Okay, so we've just lost him there. But let's bring you some more of what some of you have been telling us.
From 17, about 10 something. I think I go for say
17, we must can question be mamiana. Ubenya be mama.
Who pays a hand?
Maybe be a crane man, Minya, Ubede, Tima.
I had the demorage there ever for
Yama, a banny, Behunayama, and the meeting Caseba.
Into clearly, first half of the year. Yakase, assess performance. I be a 110. Usha, President.
The MPP na Ogusu Oshisha man and Yama also she's on the same year. On the same year to 1 million BBA. The MPP no go on and one Ogusu or me buy me who knew you be or the other. I say. But your friend was say
clearly is not really enthused about how things are going, and then for him he doesn't expect anything from this very budget, because whatever we are saying about the gains made by the CD against other major trading currencies, he cannot witness it. Even he assessing forex is very difficult for him, and so.
And I'll bring you more of that. Let's go to Faisal now in the Volta region.
The conversation largely here in the region has been centered on the state of roads, because they feel that once the roads are good, that should translate directly into the issues of the prices of food as well, because prices of fuel is down, transport fares have been affected, but this part of the roads that we are talking about, I mean this part of the region, are still having to say the old fares. And once that is done, they should have some form of relief.
Some 22 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll bring you some more about what airlines operating within the Kotoka International Airport, KIA, are expected to do. Don't go away.
Freezer, yeah, diaba. Adama for diaba. A freezer. Adama, a Adama. Metimosua, my sorry. Canino, Obo Moasia. I do afraid to no be a munum and san last night. I don't know what we do. Adam of what you have from what we say. Yet the Adruba Cope, a ship we be a high technology. I could for freezer. When Kwan and once open your 15 letters. No fugum, what ya no fugum. What the bus here? If we be any of us, you, I could say, over Timono. Then we sure say, woman shown task here. No masena for no freezer. Umpa na pade freezer.
Basia e be so do so amang amoni age.
Omutina me wasika. Omutina me di me nyina du ba so mudum bi. Adama without Adama no kuya. Adama you can't resist.
Ubenya Adama West Africa for adwe bi wo be bibia ye ton kraye ho adwu. Afi kayo na kenkan enchoya ewo adwe ho.
And you're still here on the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. Now, airlines operating within the Kotoka International Airport have been asked to make prior refueling arrangements with their service providers as Ghana faces an anticipated shortage of aviation fuel. The shortage stems from supply challenges among providers within the joint user hydrant installation system at the airport. The advisory comes amid growing concerns that supply constraints could disrupt flight schedules if not promptly addressed. The directive is considered a precautionary measure to mitigate operational delays and ensure that safety of airlines safety of airline operations. Airlines have been urged to coordinate with fuel handlers ahead of arrival to avoid last-minute complications. Now, the Accra Regional Police Command has arrested 2 suspects in connection with the violent disturbances that disrupted the Ablikuma North Parliamentary rerun election held on the 11th of July 2025. The The suspect, identified as Musa Mutari, 46, a station manager with the State Transport Company STC, and Ali Said, also known as Imboma, 43, a businessman, are currently in police custody assisting with ongoing investigations. The election rerun descended into chaos after some political thugs invaded polling stations and attacked some persons, including a former MP, Mavis Hawa Kumsin. In a statement issued by Superintendent Juliana Obing, Head of Public Affairs for the Accra Regional Police Command, authorities assured the public that no stone will be left unturned in the quest for justice. The command also urged the public to volunteer credible information to aid ongoing investigations by contacting the police on emergency numbers 18555 or 191. Now, government has once again shut down growing calls for a state of emergency to be declared on illegal mining despite the devastation caused to the environment. Speaking at the Government Accountability Series on Wednesday, the Lands Minister acknowledged the severe impact of Galamsey on the environment, water bodies and the health communities in affected areas. However, he maintained that the government is focused on delivering practical and lasting solutions through a national emergency response framework rather than formally invoking emergency powers.
Anytime I hear state of emergency, I go back to the things we are doing to show that we are treating this matter as a matter of national emergency. In my speech, I was very clear about a complete overhaul of the licensing regime. It's part of the problem. If we are able to make sure that the licensing regime is more transparent and efficient, and that the turnaround time for licensing, those people who are engaging in illegal mining because they can't just go through this bureaucracy will follow and get licenses. That's one. And that's exactly why we are doing that. We are basically put very strict regulation on excavators, and I described the length and breadth of how excavators will enter the country, how they will be regulated from the port to geo-fencing them, geo-tracking them, and making sure that the control room at Mineral Commission will know every movement 24 hours a day. I talked to you about the coordination with the security forces, the police and the army, national security, and making sure that the ministry is taking the lead by coordinating these efforts into the establishment of a nerve center called NEMOS.
And you had the Lands Minister, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa. Let's cross over now to my colleague, Noble Crosby. And we understand there's a press conference on the National Cathedral and the controversies around it. Noble, if you can tell us where you are and who is organizing this press conference.
Right, Beatrice, so the press conference was organized by one Charles Owusu Janwa. He's a lawyer, and he's a Christian, a concerned citizen of the Republic of Ghana, and a lawyer for the National Cathedral. He said that essentially what he's saying is that the remarks put out by government communicator, and I'm talking about Phillips Kwachioposu, is inaccurate concerning the report issued or the audit report by Deloitte concerning the activities of the National Cathedral, leading to the President Mahama advising that the Board of Trustees be dissolved, amongst others. The claims put out in the report, the audit report, are inaccurate. It was only a management letter that required response from the manager of the National Cathedral. And after that response was given to the auditors, a new, if you like, the findings were adjusted. So essentially, all the things done by Mr. Phillips Kwachioposu were presenting the audit findings, talking about the payments made before the formal contract. That is also inaccurate. There were false things about the U.S. fundraising, and there's the 4.9 million cedis mismatch as put out in the audit report or as articulated by Phillips Kwachioposu is also a myth. And there are documents supporting every reimbursement made by the management of the National Cathedral. So the claim that there are some documents missing is also entirely inaccurate. There are no discrepancies anywhere. Everything has been followed. Due process has been followed to the latter, and all the claims being made against the National Cathedral are false. He's further asking for support of talking about John Dramani Mahama to facilitate the completion of the National Cathedral project. Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Noble Crosby Annan, and we'll bring you an update as and when we have it. Now, President John Mahama joined hundreds of Ghanaians in a wreath-laying ceremony for the late former President of Ghana, Professor John Evans Atta Mills. The short ceremony took place at the Asumdwe Memorial Park in Accra. It's been exactly 13 years since the former president passed away on July 24, 2012. The occasion was graced by high government officials, including the Vice President of Ghana, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, and other NDC national executives, and a host of Ghanaians. Professor Mills was a Ghanaian politician and legal scholar who served as the 11th President of Ghana from 2009 until his unfortunate demise in 2012. He was inaugurated on 7th January 2009, having defeated the governing party candidate Nana Addo Akufo-Addo in the 2008 presidential election. President Mahama, in a tribute to him, said that the present research agenda is based on the foundation the late Professor Mills laid for Ghanaians, and we'll bring you that later. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us on the Midday News on Shri FM 92.7. But you're not going off the dial yet, because we are continuing our coverage of the media budget review presentation yet to be done by the Finance Minister, Dr. Cassiel Atu-Forson. Right now, I want us to go back to Parliament, because former Deputy Finance Minister Kwaku Wekit-Hagan is currently having an interview with my colleague Alfred Okanse.
Is now stabilized, and all the indicators are telling us, currency, inflation, otherwise, that it has it's stabilized. What the next step is in a half of the year is for the economy to begin to take off. Economy taking off requires growth. Growth requires, and we need a growth. That is job creation growth.
But the criticism is that you're not spending. You have done well in the fiscal consolidation policies that you've implemented in the last 6 months, as per the IMF's conditionalities which you have had to meet. But you're not spending. So where will the growth come from?
Well, you wouldn't straight away come into a disastrous, economy that we inherited, where there was basically no money and we had basically been buried in debt, and say you are spending. How do you spend yourself out in a ditch? So the money was actually not there. We knew
there was no money.
We realized the arrears. Honorable came here during the budget to tell us the arrears we have committed. We knew the level of our debt at the end of the year. We know how the currency has depreciated, and even without borrowing, our cedi equivalent of our debt has grown astronomically. What we have seen in the last 6 months is that has been reversed, and that the currency has stabilized, and also the cedi is now has appreciated, which means that even without borrowing any money, we have taken some money off our debt in cedi terms. Now, when you have built the reserves, when you have built the buffers, then you have money to spend. And that is precisely what's going to happen in the second half of the year, to basically open up the economy and ease economic activities. And we will begin to see the growth that we've all been hoping for. This is a planned, systematic economic recovery by the Finance Minister under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And you begin to see wonders.
Already we've seen the ripple effect of the amended energy sector recovery levy impact on fuel prices at the pumps. This is contrary to the assurances that the Finance Minister gave when this particular levy was approved by Parliament. We've seen prices of petrol go up by more than 1 cedi at some pumps as well. And you know how the economy reacts when fuel prices goes up. And to the extent that we don't have control over the crude oil prices on the world market, we're increasing taxes. The cedi, we're hoping, all things being equal, remains stable. But then again, because of the increase in the price of petroleum products at the pumps, is there any concern for you that would also have a direct impact on the cost of living as we see in this country?
It's basically, from what I see and from an economic standpoint, it's something that's going to be short-lived. Okay? What's going to happen? When we are setting up economic policy, you've got to have a vision, and you've got to look on the horizon, what the economy is likely to do going forward. We have a great anticipation that the oil prices are going to drop significantly towards, as we go towards the end of the year.
But that during winter,
yes,
there's an increase in demand.
we have
for crude oil across the world.
All the assumptions have been made. But you also know that we have had some world events that has actually caused the prices of oil to go down. There are countries that were not drilling oil in the past that have also come to stream. The oil-producing nations have put on more oil in the market. We have some wars going on that is not making the economy open up, global economy open up the way it should. So I tell you what, within the next year, we had a blip. So the taxes we were enjoying, or the fuel prices we were enjoying, were happening as a result of a windfall of some of these, directions and policy decisions. Now, the tax was introduced for basically for government to share the windfall that are being given to people to solve other problems in other areas that will better give us space. Now, what happened is that then we had the Iranian issue, with Israel, which obviously caused oil prices to go up for a short time, because people anticipated that a major oil producer like Iran, if they are not putting much oil in the market, prices are likely to go up. A sensible, sensitive government like His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's government and the finance minister, who is very as well, realize that it will not be fair on Ghanaians to basically implement those taxes. So we at GRE were instructed to halt on the taxes until the situation of the Iran-Israeli war is clear. It is very clear that the war has subsided, and for that reason, the oil prices are not going to go up the way it should, and therefore the prices or the tax slapped on it will not cause the pain that people anticipate.
But you know that we don't have control over what happens on the world market. We cannot predict another war, even though we are praying that it doesn't happen. So hoping it's not a policy. Hope has never been a basis for policy formulation, is it not?
Exogenous out of the blue. It is important to build an economy that will be resilient to any exogenous factors. It's not just about thinking whether you should bring tax or thinking whether you should do whether there will be a global war or not. What you need to prepare yourself for is to prepare yourself in such a way that you'll be able to understand exogenous factors when they do happen.
And just briefly, because I know you need to go, with your role at the Ghana Revenue Authority as chair, there's been concern about the loopholes in the revenue collection system. In fact, 2 days ago, the Auditor General released their 2024 report, 18.6 billion and over, possibly as a result of financial irregularities. And 86% of that, all of that, from the energy sector. Energy sector institutions contributed to this appreciation of over 109% of the monies lost in 2023 as was captured in 2024. So what are you thinking about in terms of the proposals for policies to address the loopholes in the collection system?
Well, for years, loopholes in our tax basically become endemic in this country. It's been going on for years.
The expectations ahead of the presentation by the finance. Of the year, no. You can say assess performance. Maybe a 110. Osha, President.
The MPP here na Ogusu a ohye ne ma ne nema so ohye nwie. Ohye nwie ntu ono antimi nya ne bibia. The MPP no egu ho no eno na Ogusu a otoa. Me ba me hu ni wa yibi ode aba. E wo ha say. Your friend must say ya.
Sir clearly is not really enthused about how things are going, and then for him he doesn't expect anything from this very budget, because whatever we are saying about the gains made by the CD against other major trading currencies, he cannot witness it. Even he assessing forex is very difficult difficult for him. And so these are his concerns. He doesn't expect anything from this media budget review. Let's still engage people here. And if you just tuned in, we're coming to you live from Abosokai. And I've seen some two gentlemen here. I think they don't want to talk. They're camera shy. But I will still engage people here on what the expectations are of the budget. What's it saying? What do you say when they send every budget in there? Now, then I will expect, apart from the fact that they be up and say CD stable, what are some of the major things you're expecting?
Mostly, you're expecting from government, and especially phone. Say, and Yama be stable, between me, Titiniamaso, and I say, on by be such a way, say, I'm behind. You expect to say, at least, you know, I'm making found be at least a bit to me, a best support to trade industry, you know. Said about my young, so I did Ghana, the idea, the whole entry be brave because mostly, no, see this new dollar, no costra, be as a more can, say, and Yama boy, but most of the Russia, so Ghana, and yeah, dollar near Didra, you see this, but almost taken for granted, say, Yama boy, because of dollar cost, until you be making sure, say, yeah, abandoning BBA and Kofase dollar no cost on Nema bedding. The moment you say, Yankasa, Yesicana, you use from, and I say, Yafa Nika, and fan trade, and my home toy, any dollar in free, a system, you say, dollar cost for a man, Yama boy, and I don't expect to Sabano and you be Sana, or more read Monian such a way, say, Yama Baba. But also cranium, the cranium of free. If I say me who are they, Beatrice say, net Oton is saying. Okay, sure, yeah. 500 Ghana, yeah. Did you see a dollar number from no? Is it the same price? It's the same price because of dollar number from the time now make cotton. Not dollar. When your money, sir.